Okay, so we are joined by for our wee break by Clayton, who's our good friend and second time on the show now.
I'm sure he loves being classified that way, John.
Everyone we interview is just there so we have time to go and have a wee.
Well,
hello, Clayton.
Hello, Clayton.
Hey boys, how are you? And yeah, I'm happy to fill any sort of break, whether it be wee or run to the fridge, but whatever it might be.
Yeah. Having sponsored the wee break by getting us the beer tube, it is all your fault. So thank you for agreeing to join us tonight and have a bit of a chat about tanks and the world in tank modelling. What's your favourite tank down the runway these days, or model? I don't know. What's going on in your world?
What's going on in my world? Well, obviously last year was pretty hectic for me in terms of the whole modelling scene, because that was when I kickstarted the YouTube channel. Been wanting to do that for a very long time, and finally found the courage or the self-esteem or the thick skin jacket to put on, to put myself out there and share the hobby with others. And yeah, man, I've just loved it. I put a heck of a load of pressure on myself in terms of creating meaningful content on a regular basis. But yeah, it's all been a bit of a thrill. I've taken a couple of weeks off over this Christmas break, and it's funny, I've kind of found myself missing that regularity and doing it. So hopefully I've got a little bit of content backed up now, and I'll take the pressure off myself for those regular uploads. And yeah, 2024 is going to be stress-free.
Clayton, where can our viewers find you on YouTube if they want more? And I have to say, your videos are beautifully produced. Just, as someone who does a little bit of this stuff, the lighting is on point.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. And that's actually one of the things that I take most pride in is and I've sort of done it with everything, whether it be the business or any sort of artistic endeavor, is I take pride in presenting a polished product. And I guess that's probably why I stalled so long for starting the channel, because I was never quite happy with the result I'd get off a mobile phone, or the lighting would never. And anyway, last year I really took a deep dive into it, and a deep dive into the editing stuff, and really took pride in presenting something polished. And it's people are responding, and I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
So where can they find you?
Oh, that was the question. Workbench Hobbies is my presence on YouTube and Facebook. And plus I've got the website there, workbenchhobbies.com. It used to be the workbench, but yeah, that got quite confusing, and there was a little bit of sexual innuendo there, with being on the workbench. So I actually had to change it to Workbench Hobbies, so it was a little clearer for some of my viewers.
You were getting some
it's only the sexual business on the workbench.
I missed that, boy. Sorry.
Yeah, we talked over each other.
So you were getting some comments that you weren't really sure what they were meaning, eh?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is some time ago, and yeah, it used to be called the Workbench, and then of course there was all the ongoing jokes and innuendo and whatnot about oh, you're on the workbench again, and yeah, so I needed to make it a little bit more clearer that this was a hobby page, and I was actually going to take it down like an online hobby store kind of road, like in selling products and things like that, which is why I kind of attached hobbies to the end of it. But look, it's just stuck. So it's Workbench Hobbies now. That's where you find it.
How often are you putting out content for your these days? What's your schedule like?
When I first started, which was back in March, I'd committed to myself. I mean, there's no commitment to do anything really. But to myself, I'd promised myself I'd do once every 2 weeks, or once a fortnight, if you like. But me being me, that was never good enough, and it sort of ended up slipping into once every week, which, yeah, that really tested me to produce the content. But I was very lucky. I had a lot of support at home, and my wife was very supportive with that, and allowed me time away from family and whatnot. But this year, I've committed to once a fortnight, and that way I'm going to make sure that I don't burn out and can continue to produce the content without it becoming a chore. At least that's the plan.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. All the evidence suggests that a 3-day publishing schedule is what you need to do to really grow a channel. But as an individual, you've got to be able to sustain what you're doing, and that's more important than the algorithm.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of guys in this modeling space that have put a lot of pressure on themselves who have sort of hit that point of burning out, so obviously don't want to be one of them. I've got a signage and branding business of my own. So, I mean, that takes up a lot of time. I've got 4 kids, grandchild. Yeah, so I've got a heck of a lot on my plate. But look, hey, it's not a chore if you enjoy what you're doing. And I absolutely love this hobby. And it's given me so much joy. And I love that I can share it with others now.
So, a lot of what you build is model tanks, which is why we got you on the show. And we're just curious about what in 2023, what was new in the world of modeling? Because, sorry, when we say modeling, well, obviously none of us are walking down the catwalk, despite Rob's jokes on that front. But what's new in model tanks and model building in general? Because we've got a fair number of our audience do build model tanks and or scale models, but some of them haven't done it since high school, which is kind of our category. And so what's new in the field?
Well, I mean, it gets to a point where these manufacturers, you run out of subjects, right? Because there's only so many, tigers you can build, and there's only so many Stugs you can build. So what's new? The release schedule of these manufacturers sort of goes in cycles. So there becomes, you get these waves of trends that seem to go through. So a couple of years ago, it was all about Stugs, or last year, for instance, we had this flood of Hetzers. I think this year is going to be the Tigers coming out, the Tiger Ones. So,
which is the sexiest tank of all time. So,
well, clearly. So it's probably more, yeah. So it's not like there's anything new as such. It just, things tend to be getting better. Like the molding technology is getting better, and in most cases, at least, because there's a lot of these things get rushed to market that don't, look pretty in the box, but don't really stack up when it comes time to build them. So yeah, in terms of trends, there's things like the 3D printing is becoming quite a big part of this hobby.
I was just going to ask that.
Add-ons and aftermarkets, but there's full kits you can get now in terms, that are completely 3D printed. I made the jump into 3D printing probably 6 weeks ago, and literally, like, some of the files and the content you can download for pocket change is ridiculous. So I guess the challenge for the manufacturers is how that they remain relevant when there's access to this sort of content online.
I mean, as someone who's done a fair amount of 3D printing, there's a few factors. One is that 3D printing is not as cheap as you might think, because they burn a lot of electricity, and the chance of burning your house down is not insignificant. So there is that. There are some beautiful files that people have spent an enormous amount of time putting online, though. That's amazing. But in terms of finish, a consumer level 3D printer, I'm not aware of one that's you got to do a lot of sanding to get them to the level of a injected model printer, don't you?
I know this is a podcast, but can you see this little fella here?
We've got the video feed as well, but yeah, we can see him. Yep.
Like, that was one of the first prints I did, and it's absolutely like mind blowing, because that was probably one of the things that held me off taking that dive into the 3D technology, because of all the issues that you've just mentioned there. But I literally downloaded this file of this German tanker,
Mm-hmm.
and I could scale. I scaled them down to 1/72nd scale, which is tiny, and you could still make out the detail on the badges on their,
Mm-hmm.
on their chests and the collar boards and belt buckles and things like that. Incredible, and that was literally like a $400 printer.
Yep. Can I ask what you got?
It's a Frozon 8K Mini.
Okay, that's an FDM printer where it's got the filament going in.
No, not filament. It's
your resin printing.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
I'm very much new to the 3D printed space, so yeah, that's about the limit of my knowledge there.
Yep. A lot of chemicals with resin printing, though, right?
There is a heck of a lot of this podcast I'm going to have to delete before I, let my wife listen to this. So burning down houses, bad chemicals, no, it's all fine.
The resin chemicals have been sitting in my garage for the last 25 years and haven't burnt anything. So
yeah,
it'll be fine.
Yes. No,
all right. So 3D printing as an add-on is obviously a thing that's going on in the modeling world at the moment. Then.
It probably has been for a few years, but I guess it's new to me because I've just taken the step into it. But what a lot of the manufacturers are doing now, rather than just giving you a kit full of plastic sprues and bits and pieces, they're putting 3D printed parts in there as well to level up the detail and the finesse in some of the finish on the things.
So they're embracing the idea what the community is going for, rather than saying you can't use that or you can't do this with our products or anything like that.
I guess it's just a value add, and it probably stalls people from making that jump themselves, because there's limitations with the molding process of molding styrene, and that's where the 3D printed parts can just elevate your model and just give you that extra level of finesse.
Yeah, it's an interesting space. Obviously people are moving quite heavily into diorama building, and there's ever more grotesque dioramas of Michael Whitman's demise. We're talking about tigers, but I guess that's where 3D printing can really help you. Bring out your vision.
Brace yourself for Whitman's demise, because Takom are releasing a whole new range of tigers next year. Well, this year, and man, you're going to see plenty.
I mean, you really need a Sherman Firefly to go with it, but yeah. I've got one of them in the stash. I'm just looking for an excuse to build that. So.
How has the pile of shame gotten bigger or smaller since
the pile of shame never reduces, Rob. It's the pile of shame only grows.
For those who don't know, the pile of shame is the things that he's bought and hasn't yet put together, but says one day he'll get.
That's the stash. Yeah, the stash. So actually, my wife, it's during this Christmas break because we had a little bit of time off, and that's pretty much what I do: is go to the stash, grab 5 kits, bring them in, put them on the couch, look through all the boxes, dream about the scheme or the one I'm going to build. Put them back, take them all back to the stash. So there's literally this rotating pile of kits on our coffee table this last 3 weeks that have just been, just to remind myself.
Inspiration.
Absolutely.
You've got a very patient partner there, mate. I'd hang on to that one.
I
have. Okay, so following you on Facebook, there's been some new scales that are more popular at the moment. It's because 1/35 used to be everything, didn't it?
1/35 was everything. Yeah, 1/35 and 1/72 to 76. Airfix bought out a whole heap of 76. Or Matchbox, actually. Sorry, a whole heap of 76 scale back in the day. But yeah, I mean, 35th was really like the where the cool kids were at. But yeah, it's the new big thing is 16th scale, 1/16th scale armor.
So that's bigger models.
Yeah. Pardon me. So yeah, the higher the number, the smaller the scale. So 35th scales, I should know the maths on this, but yeah, 1/16 is considerably larger than 35th, and 72nd scale is considerably smaller than 35th scale. But yeah, it's right. Yeah, so there's only so many subjects that a manufacturer can produce. There's no point in producing a vehicle or a tank where there was only one or two made and it isn't going to sell. They just wouldn't invest it. So that's the direction a lot of them are going now, is upscaling to this 1/16 scale. And I guess the benefit of that is you can put more detail into it. There's a bigger surface area to paint and work with. The downside for me, and which I'll probably never build, a 16th scale vehicle, is
Thanks,
it's just
too much
so
room.
big. Oh, it's so big.
Where are you going to put them all? You can have one.
Yeah. I mean, you think about a Tiger or King Tiger at 16th scale. I mean, it's, we're talking, how big's my fish kind of thing. It's yeah.
And I've got to say, with scale, I mean, you can build, and I'm thinking warship modeling here, but something where Yamato's this long, you can build on Christmas Day when it's turned up under the tree. But when you get the bigger models, it's a much greater investment of time and effort, and you've got to have a bench clear for it for months to get all the twiddly bits on.
Definitely. So I guess you get value for your money too if you're buying something like that, because it might take you 12 months to build it. But it's just all about where you put it. Those larger scales used to be really just in the realm of the remote control guys. They would there was
one of the things you might see them is in the foyer of a defence building saying, this is what we're buying next or something. That's probably about the only useful display of that scale that I can think of.
Well, there'll probably be a lot of people screaming at the podcast now, because it's very it's very popular, the 16th scale. And I guess, look, if you're going to build one,
we'd love to hear their comments.
Like and subscribe. Yeah. No, it's
all engagement.
Absolutely.
Tell us why we're wrong. We're wrong about so many things.
Until someone says something horrible and you wear it like a bloody punch in the face. But anyway.
Yeah. Clayton, while we've got you here, can you tell us about your favourite tank, just as a tank?
Look, it's boring, I know, but you can't go past the T-34, and I like the 76mm. I just like the shape of it. It doesn't matter what it did, doesn't matter, the history and whatnot. There's something about that tank I love. I love the shape. I love the story. The guy that pretty much drove it across the country to put himself in an early days just to prove the damn thing. And just something about a T-34 I love. And I was lucky enough when I met you guys up at Oz Armour Fest up in Cairns to get a ride in the T-34 up there. So that was
they've got the 76 now. They've got the second T-34 up there. So
is that right? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, no, they did a video a couple of weeks ago saying, "Hey, look at our second T-34 guys."
Oh, I missed that. All right, no, that's very exciting. But look, Second World War armor, I'll build anything. I'll absolutely build anything. But the T-34, I have a very soft spot for.
It's so understated, just how advanced it was in 1940. It's crazy that they had a 76mm cannon in a rotating turret, and no one else in the world was close, and a 500 horsepower engine. Which isn't to say it didn't have problems, but it was insanely ahead of its time.
Yeah, very cool. I can't even tell you why I love it. I just love
it. That's all right.
Nice one. And what's your favorite beer at the moment, mate?
Oh, hang on, favorite beer? Mm-hmm. Well, now a good mate of mine and very good modeler, Lucas Kasuba, is a brewer for Mountain Culture. So I'll have to say Mountain Culture. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, they're the hot, cool brewer in the Australian beer scene at the moment. Yeah.
He's supplying me a very generous stream of supply there. So yeah, woot, very happy Mountain Culture. But no, look, I'll drink anything. It would be easier for me to tell you what I wouldn't drink than what I would. Heineken scarred me as a young teenager. I just can't drink Heineken. I don't know what it is. And yeah, Guinness, no thanks. So I wouldn't give that to my dog.
Is that a general Guinness hatred or a stout hatred? Like, would you drink a dark beer from someone else?
I drink dark beer. I've probably never got past the whole Guinness thing. Yeah, because that made me quite ill once as well. So
I'm like that with bourbon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Rob, you got any other questions, mate?
No, that's all good for me.
Okay, Clayton. Anything we've missed that you wish we'd asked you?
Oh, I don't think so. No. What about you guys? What's your plan for the new year?
just keep
Talking
doing
tanks,
what we've been
drinking
doing.
beer.
That sounds good. No, I love it. No, I love what you guys are doing. And there's that obvious connection between, the history of the tanks and just talking about tanks and scale modeling. So I appreciate the opportunity to connect all those dots and hopefully introduce people to this hobby or, reaffirm the love of the hobby. And obviously, if we can get more people talking about tanks, the better.
Absolutely. All right. Okay.
Thank you.